What up, guys? Today we have a question from Gary who's questioning the usefulness of traditional jiu-jitsu warm-ups. So he says he trains at another gym currently, but he wanted to check out this other gym that has a lot of really high-level competitors. He said he went to the gym and he was surprised to learn during this training session that they do no warm-ups whatsoever before getting into drilling. No shrimping, break falls, dynamic stretches, exercises of any kind. And he was pretty taken aback by it. He was surprised by it. But he said the sky didn't fall, no one got injured, and there are no shortage of world-class competitors running around the mats. And so he said he was left with this sort of thinking that maybe the intense 20 to 30 minute warm-ups he's accustomed to at his current gym aren't really a necessity to improve in jiu-jitsu. And so he sends me the message, what are your thoughts on the issue? What kind of warm-up, if any, do you do at your gym? So Gary, thanks for the question, bro. I've seen this pop up a bunch, right? I think Big Dan, he did a video of this, right? So to answer your question, are the warm-ups in jiu-jitsu, are they a waste of time? Some, yes, possibly. Depends on the situation. I think you have to treat it a little differently because, you know, beginners versus advanced people. I think maybe you can adjust it a little bit depending on the situation. It's kind of like a sick person versus a healthy person, right? Sick person might need the antibiotics. Healthy person doesn't need to be taking antibiotics. Two different situations. But the 20 to 30 minute warm-up that you're talking about with the intense calisthenics and whatever, that to me is a waste of time. I look at it kind of like the way I look at restaurants, right? Where if I'm going to go to a restaurant, I want to go to a place that can make me a dish I can't make, that I don't have the skill or know how to do. This is why, like my wife and I, when we have date night, we'll go get some sushi or we'll go to this Cuban restaurant that we really like, right? Because I don't know how to make sushi. This Cuban restaurant, they have all these different sauces and everything else that I don't know how to make. I'm not going to spend the time to learn it. So we go there and the food is delicious. It's amazing. I'm not going to go to a restaurant down the street to eat eggs. I can make eggs on my own, right? Now, if I'm traveling or something that's different, but here in town, I'm not gonna eat eggs at a restaurant. There's no reason to. I can make them on my own. And so when people come into the jiu-jitsu room, my thought process is, I wanna give you the thing that you cannot get outside of this room at this time frame, right? If you wanna do calisthenics and you wanna do burpees and you wanna go lift weights, or go to the weight room. It's there all the time. It's part of your membership. Go use that. But while you're in here from 6 to 7:30 or to 6 to 8 or whatever it is during our class times, I want to give you the goods. I want to get into the jiu-jitsu. I want you to develop skill. And so, you know, to me, 20 to 30 minutes, that's a sizable chunk of time that could be devoted to, you know, live drilling towards the end, situational drilling, breaking a technique down into chunks to warm up, right? Because, you know, like when I'm lifting weights, it's kind of the same thing. I just take whatever exercise I'm doing and I just move it at a really light weight to warm up. If I have a particular type muscle, like if I'm doing back work, I might stretch out my pecs so I can pull back a little further. But otherwise, I'll just warm up with the movement that I'm getting ready to do. And so we can warm up with the techniques that we're doing in the drilling and everything else. We don't need to do some special stuff for it. Now, there is an exception to this for me, and that is with our beginners, our brand new people, like when they come in for their intro class type stuff. They will do things like their break falls and forward rolls and things like that because I think those are important. You'll see them in judo, wrestling, in jiu-jitsu rooms, right? Learning how to fall is important. Learning how to move in certain capacities is important because when you get people that come into jiu-jitsu, many of them have very limited movement capacities. They're not used to moving in a lot of the ways that we're getting ready to do. I mean, I can look at my 2-year-old son and he does a lot of jiu-jitsu movements without even thinking about them. It's just natural to him. They're natural human movements, but you know, through modern living, people sitting down and not exercising their bodies, a lot of things are difficult. Like getting an adult who hasn't done a somersault for 20 years, getting them to do a forward roll represents a big step for them. Right? And it's important because you don't want your brand new guy reaching back to post on the mat or, you know, falling forward and dislocating their shoulder because they don't know how to front roll. Very easy to fix that with simple drills that we can have them do in the class and with some direction. And so with our beginners, we will focus on that in our fundamentals class and our beginners class. Break falls, back rolls, things like that. And those things are important, I believe, right? In my opinion. And it's also been my experience that learning how to properly fall has saved me plenty of times on the mat, obviously, but outside of the gym, there's been a couple times where I've slipped on ice and not got myself concussed because I knew how to fall out properly. Had a bruised arm, but didn't have a concussed head. You know, that's a win. Also, there was a time I got thrown off a horse. I was riding a horse, and for whatever reason, the horse got a little squirrely, was riding a thoroughbred and gave him a little too much gas and kicked me off the back of him. And when I fell off of it, I had to do a side break fall, and I was okay. There's also an English saddle for any guys that ride. I friggin' hate English saddles. I like the Western saddle. I can really dig in the thing. So I wasn't used to the English saddle, and then the little thoroughbred took off. It kicked me right off. And then, there was another time where I did a forward roll, saved myself, had a scraped back, but not a bad neck afterwards. So I think it's important to learn those things. But that said, I don't do them in the class. So if you were to come to one of my classes, we might do a little stretching, because I like to stretch a little bit, just maybe about 5 minutes worth, just to loosen up my hips a little bit. And also in the mornings, we might do a little bit more stretching because it's early and we're kind of waking up with it. But after that, right into technique, right into the drills, right into the movements that we're getting ready to do, and we'll warm up with that, right? And a lot of times we'll also do things like play rolling. So for a warm up, we'll come in, we'll set the timer for 10 to 20 minutes. And literally we have this play rolling drill that we will do where we're going through, and it starts off incredibly slow and slowly speeds up until by the end of it, you're drenched in sweat, but you've had a lot of good actual technical work and you're primed and ready to go to do whatever it is that you want to do, right? And so those are some of the ways that we warm up, very minimal, right into the technique, or some play rolling sometimes. If we're going to go right into situational drilling and rolling and live work, we'll do the play rolling and then go into our regular live work afterwards. So just a couple ideas to chew on, Gary. Hopefully it's helpful to you. Talk to you guys next time.